All right, we're recording, sharing my screen. Oh, hold on one second. I gotta kill a few things that are gonna make lots of noise if I don't shut them down. You guys don't want the extra beep bops and boops in the middle of the recording. All right, so okay, week 6, we went over joins a whole bunch already. Just remember on this, you don't need to, well, basically all I want is I want you to copy the text here and 25 points for each lettered section. So A, B, C, D there on the left. And like I said before, I am available to ask questions of. And if you want to show me stuff before you turn it in, just remember you can jump on and ask me questions, but you have to actually ask me those questions. So anyway, so that's why I went through joins, because I realized that on one of these you do need join to, you can see right here, there's a join that you're going to have to do on one of those. So I tried to make it as easy to read as possible. But if you have any questions, please let me know. The text that they're talking about here, that I'm talking about here on the top, Jumpstart MySQL, is under course documents, SQL resources, and I try to put them in alphabetical, but on this one, since it was so new, I threw it up on the top, and yeah, it really is, the assignment really is building on what we did last week. So hopefully you guys won't be tearing your hair out. So please, like I said, remember you can ask me questions. Now, the nice thing about this is these are linked sections. So if you're looking at like you can't remember how to do certain things, there's a section on how to do it on this is Linux, you don't need to work with that. And then there's a section on do you remember at the very top of this assignment, it talks about adding a user and giving her important privileges. So this is a gigantic hint here. See MySQL accounts and security. Ta-da! This is everything you're going to need to know on how to do this. Okay. No, but I'm sure that Gwen will probably volunteer if you offer some goodies for tutoring. So, but you know, Gwen has to do their homework first too, so remember that. Okay, so this section right here has a whole section on doing accounts and security, and that is a nice readable section on what you need to do. Yeah, there you go. And I will also say, I don't know if you looked at these, Gwen, but have you looked at Etsy for some of the customizable D&D dice? They have some pretty cool stuff out there that people have made. Yeah, there's some really cool resin ones, but there's also some really cool metal workers out there that have made some really cool stuff. So just saying. All right. So there's a whole section here, and this is basically all the stuff that we've gone over. But that's just in the beginning section here. And this talks about how you store data, how you create it. It literally just, if you don't understand anything that I've gone through, this is just another way for you to go and look at that and say, oh, okay. Now, and this actually, not exactly the thing, but the end part, not null and auto increment. there's a section in your assignment that talks about auto incrementing. So, so hint, hint, cough, hint, cough, hint. So, that's my very blunt saying page 17 has a section talking about using incrementing. Also, and we went through this, the MySQL or the MySQL, whatever you want to call it. If you want to know anything, you go straight out to this section. See all these out here on the left? You can find pretty much everything that you want to know. There's a whole section on joins. And the nice thing about these is they have tons and tons of examples. So inner join, left join, right join. You don't need to worry about those three, but inner join, left join, and right join. More left join and right join. Do you guys remember the left and right join? There's a quiz question about this, so it would behoove you to pay attention. Do you remember inner join, left join? Okay, so do you remember how you differentiate between what is a left and what is a right join?
The order you list them in the command?
Yes, right. So a left join is the first one, a right join is the second one. So it just is the emphasis that you're talking about in where the order is. So yes, perfect. So joins and things like that. See now, if you really want to get mean with yourself, this is someone that chose to write it out as a relational algebra expression. Personally, that just makes my brain hurt. But you know, different people see things as different stuff. So I will copy and paste this out on here. Let me add it to chat again. There you go. And I think I have added that in the resources on Discord. And I know that it's out there in, I think, week 5. So that is an option for you guys to look at. I highly suggest it. It's one of the ways that I learn best is just by looking at and walking through examples is the best way that I have. Now, are there any of these that are particularly difficult for anybody? Is there a section that you guys want to walk through? And I will help you with that right now. So last week we did constraints. You remember these? The not null, unique, primary, foreign key, checks, defaults. Okay, so you remember those. Good job. Okay. Now let's go back and look at the assignment because I really want to make sure that you guys don't have anything in here that you hyperventilate with. I mean, I know that I say that now, but you're going to get out there and look at the assignment and hyperventilate anyway. You're just trying to, I don't want you to cry in the corner. That's the whole point. Let me change one thing about this because you guys don't have workstations. I'm just going to make you guys do cars. So can you tell we frequently we create stuff together, and this is the in-person lab is set up that way. Okay. Basically, yes, I do. I want the text of it dumped in when you guys submit it. And then the rubric, let me submit that there. That way it's not confusing. So you can just call it cars. So you don't have to worry about that. Because I'm not going to be looking at your individual stations. You will be when you go in and assign this, when you submit it, I want you to submit either a Word doc or just dump the text in here or something like that. That's how I want you guys to do that. Oh, you can cry if you want to, but I want you guys to be able to not have that as your first resource. No, get out of my tea, kitty. So you've got two tables. You've got your customers and your cars table, and there are what are called a one-to-many databases, which are what we do a lot here. We went over joins. So if you have any questions and you can't remember anything, you can go to the W3 schools and look at that. It's like I'm saying here, it's not a shared assignment. Don't turn in someone else's work. That's obviously cheating. Don't use a chat AI bot or anything like that. Yeah, no, that's what this cat thinks. They think the problem is that it's one of those boba teas with the big straw. And this particular cat thinks big straw equal toy. So I usually have to flail at the cat to tell them, please don't. So, anyway, and then we have, you want to create the database. And then we have our user that we want to create with the privileges. And I talked about how there's that section here that goes over users. Then we want these fields to be created in the table for the customer table. And then you want to index the table by the last name in ascending order. And then with the cars table, these are the ones that you want the fields for the cars table. And then make the appropriate fields auto incrementing. So, for example, you wouldn't want to make the first name, last name fields auto increment. Do you remember what auto increment means? Yeah, no copying all of Gwen's code.
You'll never stop me, Copper. Auto increment just means they add one every time there's a new entry.
Exactly.
And then, yeah, so that would be and basically anything with ID would be
that's a really good point right there. And just as a note here, notice that you have customer ID. Remember me talking about foreign keys? It's a possibility that you might use that as your foreign key, right? So you wouldn't do your phone or your email or things like that auto incrementing, but car ID and customer ID are a good option to do auto incrementing. Kitty, sorry. No, apparently the kitty wanted to do debugging. Thanks a lot, kitty. They're all worried about me because they know when I'm grumpy and in pain, they feel like I have to fix mom right now. Okay, then C, populate it with 10 customers and make up your customer data. And there's, if you don't feel like being creative, I'm sure there's random customer data you can go pull out there from somewhere. And define the relationship between the two tables. So that means your foreign key. No, I don't mean those kind of, I don't mean identity fraud, but that is very funny, Mike. Thank you for making me laugh. I needed that. So yeah, customer ID, like I was just talking about. Yes. Did you hear the cat in the background? Yeah, they're all being very helpful today. Then query the database and give me a list of all customers who own blue cars. And no fair not putting any blue cars in there. I mean, I guess you could if you really want to, but I might ding you and go, dude, come on.
What if
But
I put them in as Azure instead?
or you could be really rude and use a hex value, I suppose. But remember that when I grade these and if I'm cranky, it's not exactly helpful. I'm already cranky because I hate taking muscle relaxers for a long period of time. They make me cranky. So I'm trying to be very nice and give you guys lots of extra time and everything else. So anyway, run the stuff, query the database, give you me a list of all the customers who own Fords. Please make sure that some actual users do own Fords. Query the database, give me users whose mileage is over 79,000. And again, make sure that they have a few of them that meet those criteria. Now you can do SQL Workbench if you hate it and there's another program that you prefer to use. I am not against you guys using Visual Studio or anything else like that. I don't particularly care which one you want to use, whatever you want to use for you that works for you. Okay.
Excuse me, Anna. I had a question real quick.
Sure.
So I was using MySQL and the Workbench, and when I was trying to do the visual representation, I was just really struggling with the settings in there. So I ended up actually just deleting the W3 like input message, and I would like paste it in there. And it would, sort of like throw error codes at me whenever I did stuff wrong. But I was wondering if I don't know if you would be able to, because I was trying to look online and it was just giving me some instructions, and now I was just struggling trying to set it up to really run the server so I could actually, be able to pump my code out. Is everybody else just real quick question, is everybody else using Visual Studio? Is that like a lot better to run the code and just really get a...
I will give you guys a heads up. Visual Studio. Yeah, I tried to use the MySQL Workbench when I was working with Steve, and we had all sorts of problems with it. The Visual Studio Community Edition is free. It does take a little while to download, but that is actually, I think, a little bit easier to use. It's just that some people prefer the other one runs faster. But something I noticed when I was working with Steve, for some reason, his didn't install a key portion of it that mine did. And I don't know if maybe that's what happened with yours. Like his didn't have there's like a queries section that you should be able to have, and his didn't even install it.
Oh, are you talking about like the
Workbench.
the autofill like subsection that appears? Because a lot of times when I would put in the code, it would start, auto-populating general commands and stuff like that for me. Is that what you're referring to?
No,
or just...
there's like you do a file new. Let me see if I have. Hold on.
There's literally like a tab that's right next to files that says queries, and for some reason mine just didn't download it with the installation.
File new.
Steve.
There's a new model or a query tab, and mine. Stop, kitty. Mine has the queries tab on there, which is what you need when you're looking at and trying to work with the physical writing of the code, and Steve's just didn't have it at all.
I'm probably just gonna get the Visual Studio.
Visual Studio. The nice thing about Visual Studio when you're using it is that you write your stuff in it, you hit the little play button to check and see if it's functioning, and boom, it goes along. So
it was kind of funny watching, when I would do like Control C and Control V into W3, it would just be like, ID error, and I'd be like, oh yeah, or something like that,
Yeah.
So it's just, but it was just, I was like, I didn't know if everybody else was having this much problems with Workbench, so I'm I'm happy that
Yeah,
know,
Workbench, I
everyone's
had some
studio.
issues with it, and it was just, it's not as user friendly as Visual Studio, in my opinion. Gwen, you're using Visual Studio too, aren't you? Yeah, so Gwen's using Visual Studio, I've got Visual Studio, but instead of doing it's like Visual Studio Code, do the Visual Studio Community Edition, just type in Visual Studio Community Edition on Google, and there's lots of stuff you can do in there, but when you go to set it up, there's a section that says SQL, and just make sure that you have the MySQL SQL components downloaded when you install it.
I'm glad that my pain causes you happiness.
I guess I just did mess up. I should have just asked Gwen what she was using from the get-go, and instead of just shooting myself in the foot. So I'll probably just swap over.
Yeah, I suggested the MySQL Workbench because the other instructor had their students using that, but I really don't like it after playing with it. The Visual Studio, I think, the nice thing about the Visual Studio is there are some drag and drop options, so you can drag and drop and go, oh, that's how they would do it, and then you can go fix it. And the other nice thing is that once you run it, it'll say, no, this doesn't work, and the reason it doesn't work is online, and then it'll tell you what line it's on. So it's a little bit easier for pinpointing where your problems are. Whenever I did database work, I always used Visual Studio. So yeah, no, I was gonna say, everyone's like, I'm switching, this sucks. Yeah, no, most of the people that are in the programming department actually use it when they do grading. So I think that if we do anything where we're writing code, I'm gonna say just go ahead and install it and we'll use it, because there is like a PHP and some other stuff for the next sections we're working on, and that would help you guys out in those sections as well. And plus, then you can just make the whole project and it's got this little play button. You hit the play button and it works or it doesn't work, and it tells you why. So it's a lot nicer, in my opinion, on in the programmers side. And I personally go with the dark theme because it's a lot easier to view. Because then you don't have the eye bleed. But it right when you first started, it asks you what version you want, and it gives you a couple of options. Yeah, that's what I did when I did all my ASP.NET and C# work. That's what I did it in, was Visual Studio. And then after doing that, I don't want to go back, honestly. It's much, much nicer than some of the other options, just because you can do a lot of stuff. I do like Notepad++ for basic bare bones only text, but you kind of need to be able to see if your stuff's going to run. So I would suggest Visual Studios for that. For this particular project, you could get away with just writing the code out with the other one, because you were just doing chunks of like question and answer from last week. But this one, I think the Visual Studio will help. Okay, now looking at this, more questions from anyone, because I don't want to start the quiz until we have all our questions answered. Now for Thursday, I will throw some videos out for you guys. They'll be on the resources channel, and I'll put some other things out there to help you guys, just give you a leg up, because I don't know when my doctor's appointment is going to be over. In case you didn't catch it on the announcements, I have a doctor's appointment with my spine specialist on Thursday. Yes, exactly. all the legs up. Yes, I'm going to go look for a bunch of the tutorial videos that I used that helped me and some other things to try and help you guys out there. So it sounds like we're doing okay. Well, as okay as we can get. I know this is frustrating. Anytime you learn programming, it can be frustrating. Okay. So don't forget the Jumpstart MySQL. It really does have some good stuff in there. The first 1 and 2, and the first, probably about the first 3 are where you're going to want to hit. And then you can play around with it from there. The nice thing about it is it gives some really good explanations, some more code samples. And then don't forget the w3resource.com. That'll give you some more stuff there. Very funny, German. Okay. Let me stop the share. All right, I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording, and then I'm going to start our quiz.